Hey comic book fans, Kevin Gibbon with you once again for another program of comic book reviews. Today we're going to review Category Zero, #1. Also, Black Hammer, Justice League, Hammer of Justice, #4. Let's start with that. This issue opens with heroes from both universes trying to figure out how they wound up in the other universe, and essentially blaming the other team for their plight. The tension mounts as both universes' heroes are desperate to find their way home, and neither side knows how to go about it. Looking at the creative team, Jeff Lemire has written for both teams and created the Black Hammer characters, so he knows what makes both sides tick. The banter between the two sides is what makes this issue stand out. He is so comfortable writing for either team, and it's comical to watch the denizens from both universes try to figure out each other's strengths and weaknesses. Each issue gets better than the one before it. Great stuff includes the Black Hammer heroes coming to realize that they need their DC counterparts to succeed in finding their way home, and the revelation as to who the strange man really is. Michael Walsh brings a fresh perspective to the Justice League as he draws them Dark Horse style. His style is unique to these characters, and they haven't been depicted in this fashion before. He makes it seem natural for these characters to mingle with their Black Hammer counterparts. Highlights include Green Lantern, the Jon Stewart version, and Colonel Weird's trip to the Parazone, and Cyborg's first meeting with Talkie-Walkie. In conclusion, most comic book fans probably didn't think this matchup could happen given the diverse nature of both titles, but the revelation of the strange man suddenly has it make sense. In fact, we should have known this all along. It's great fun seeing this revelation come to light. This issue ends with a fun turn that makes us impatient for the next issue. 3.5 stars and 8.7 rating from this comic book reviewer. And of course, the publishers are Dark Horse and DC Comics. Now let's come to Category Zero. The publisher is Scout Comics, one of newer additions to the comic book world. And this issue opens with a scientist named Patterson headed towards his lab. He looks distraught and in a hurry, only to find his co-workers throwing him a surprise party as he's just been promoted. Patterson tries to show some positive response, but what happens next throws the whole room into an uproar. You see, Patterson wasn't destined to accept his promotion. A higher call prevented him from taking it. Looking at the creative team, Adam Kiamel draws us into this sordid tale of a pharmaceutical company gone wrong and shows us the result of corporate greed and disrespect for ethical practices. A certain virus known as Strix has infected the human race, but is only active in 1% of us. The main character seems to have some kind of psychic powers as a result and is isolated on some kind of base. What I'm enjoying most about this issue is how realistic the characters are. Their interactions are believable, and they behave in ways you'd expect people to behave on a daily basis. Some of the 1%ers, as they've been dubbed, seem to be able to take control of the active gene while others can't. This makes the whole tale unpredictable and is a classic page-turner. Great stuff includes the banter between teacher and students during a class and a 1%er's strange behavior at a bank. Tom Lima's art is finely detailed and works well with Kiamel's words. I especially enjoyed how dark Patterson's eyes were, which leads us to think that there's something not quite right with the character. From the ominous prologue to the jump to present day, he helps make these characters believable. Highlights include the fate of Patterson and the commotion in the bank. In conclusion, this is a realistic tale that treats its subject matter with a reverence we don't see every day in a comic book. The characters are like everyday people who could be our neighbors, which makes what happens to them so much more frightening than anything in a modern horror movie with over-exaggerated, pompous asshole characters that most of us want the guy in the hockey mask to kill. I'm loving the direction this title is taking, and it is highly recommended. 4 stars, 9.1 rating from this comic book reviewer. And that's all the time we have today for comic book reviews, my friends. I hope you enjoyed the show. Check out my work on Patreon. Make sure you head over to the Comic Crusaders and Comics for Sinners websites and check out my columns and reviews there. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the little bell, and you'll be informed of everything comic books. Until next time, this is Kevin Gibbon saying check out my shows on YouTube, my comic book reviews, as well as Comics Let's Talk, where we discuss the history of comic books. Until next time, so long, keep reading those comics. If you love comics as much as I do, you're going to subscribe to my channel. I review comics for Comic Crusaders. I also have my own franchises, Adolescent Radioactive Samurai Platypi and Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter. They're available on Comics Central, Indie Planet, and Comixology. Check them out. Stay tuned to this broadcast for more information. Also, like the Facebook pages for each franchise. Check out my Patreon site for some neat original artwork and shows that you won't find on YouTube.